Well, that was a brutal Wednesday afternoon that we were hoping would be a fun Wednesday going into a fun Sunday. Now our week is over and our summer begins. How are you all doing?
Look, you guys know me. Like, obviously, I'm disappointed with the score line is one thing. I'm disappointed with the effort and and what it looked like on the pitch. But you know me, win or lose this is not going to define or have any sort of okay. This means we're going to do great next season or poor. Like it's all part of the process. This is a team that this is only match number 6 under Javi Alonso. Like, I mean, okay, like this without a fully healthy Rust squad playing against the best team in the world, like there are a lot of factors involved. So I'm not losing my mind. We'll get into the specifics about things that annoyed me, and things that are concerning. But overall, it's what it is. It was a poor performance. Growth isn't linear. We were due for a come down, and here it is.
Yeah, not much really to add about what Jared said on that department. You win some, you lose some. You don't want to lose it this way, I guess, but it was bound to happen sooner or later. Maybe it brought us back to reality a little bit of where we are, where we need to improve, and what we need to do for the future. Maybe it's also kind of like a message to the front office as well that, okay, there are still picking holes that they were trying to figure out, but few key players missing, and this is a product. So yeah, I'm not really sure. It's disappointing, of course, as a fan, but it's not really going to determine whether I'm a believer of this team or not for the next season.
Yeah, a lot of the flaws we saw are things we need to work on. We're in the phase of the year where normally guys would be coming back for preseason. So it's like this is what would have been worked on otherwise in preseason and maybe realized in a long summer. We realized it early. Now we get 3 weeks where Perez goes and gets Alonso who he needs. So I agree. Coming into the game, let's talk about this match. Optimism go or not coming into the game. I know you guys did a preview. I did not tune in personally. What I will say is this: I thought with just Dean out, we could still have a chance with their absences. Dean and Trent, like Trent not being in this morning, as you were talking about Loconte, I thought that was another issue. With that being said, I still believed, maybe blindly. But yeah, I guess just off the bat, did the Trent absence change anything for you guys going into the game?
Yeah, I mean, look, as you said, and I think LeConte agrees with this. With Dean out, it would have made winning just exponentially times harder, right? Call it 4 times, 5 times, whatever the number is, right? With because he's our most press resistant center back, number one, key to our build up, all those things. All right, Trent, we know what Trent can do in terms of what he's been doing lately with inverting into the midfield, right? Like, and being that connecting line there, that progressing the ball forward, advancing into the final third. That's a huge miss, right, to not have there. Now you're having Fede back in that spot. And Fede was performing better as that sort of back box crashing, right, playing a little bit higher up the pitch. That's where we were seeing real success. He can play fullback because he's Fede and, like, talented, but that's not the optimal way to use him because now all we had in the middle to help us was Arda and Tchouameni, which isn't bad. But the problem is if Tchouameni's got to drop back to worry about Arsenal, I was going to say PSG's attack. Well, that leaves Arda by himself now as that connector, right? And we talked about how he is physically, we still have issues with him, right? Because he doesn't have blinding speed to get by anybody. He's a little bit easy to knock off the ball still, right? Because he's not physically strong on that lower base. So I think all those things came to fruition a bit, right? We just had players not where we ideally want them to be. And when you don't have the proper depth in play, this is what happens. So yeah, both Dean and Trent being out, now you went from 5x with Dean to Trent being out. Now it's 10 times harder to win, right? It just makes everything that much harder.
Yeah, I think that we had never seen this team under Alonso without Dean, so that was going to be a new thing, right? So then you added Trent on top of it, and you were kind of doomed because, well, you remove Valverde from midfield, as Jared said. So you opened all of these accessible gaps, which were taken fully advantage of. I mean, Fabian Ruiz has 2 goals, just as kind of like proof of how much gaps were they for the runs to come, for the second runs to come in. So yeah, I think that once Trent was out, basically trained injured yesterday, once that report came out, it was just kind of clear that this team was not going to be able to sustain the level of energy that PSG are going to bring into the team. I was way more confident with Trent. I had Madrid to win. Of course, as you said, it's a little bit of bias, blind faith on the team, right? Because you want them to win. But realistically speaking, coming down to earth without Trent, without Hoyson, you just had no way of escaping, right? Maybe we had hopes on Asensio and Rudiger. One of them would step up, but none of them did, even with the ball. So we just went into 100 levels of trouble immediately from the get-go.
Yeah, and so that gets us to his first setup. So I see Trent out. You don't have a choice. You have to move Fede to right back. I think that's what's unfortunate. People are like, oh, why did he set up this way? Okay, you move Fede out. You don't have Camavinga. I'm still assuming like he's out. So then you're screwed already. We're a little thin in midfield. Okay, you put Goulet, Tchouameni, Jude, and I get why he threw on the extra attacker. So I guess I'll start there. If you don't have Trent and Dean, you are not playing build-up play against PSG's press. So you are winning the game by winning duels and going fast and hard and long. So you are winning the game with some sort of transition threat. Otherwise, PSG are going to just pass the ball side to side, rip your block. Now, that's the reasoning. With that being said, why is there a three-man midfield block at the start of the game? I think that was what was concerning. Before Asensio makes the mistake, I know we're going to get to those mistakes, but even before the mistake, just with Alonso's setup, like the first play of the game, we go long, and then our front three go press. And when they get bypassed, it's a three-man midfield, and they're acres apart. It's like one guy standing on the right midline, one guy on the left midline, one guy in the middle. And PSG get those two cross balls Courtois has to save. So before Asensio makes the mistake, Courtois is forced into the so-called saves that we're used to under Carlo, maybe, where the system itself wasn't working. With that being said, I did notice before the Asensio mistake that slowly Vinny and Mbappe, they were starting to play in a 4-5-1. I just think it happened so early, so quickly, that I don't know if the 4-4-2 or 4-5-1 would have worked, and we didn't even get around to executing it. It just happened that early in the game. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Loconte.
Okay, yeah, you're right, because like it started very unnaturally. It started very newish for Alonso, right? We had never seen the midfield be spread. We always kept emphasizing how good we want to just keep the middle block channels, and then it just spread out all of a sudden. Maybe Alonso was trying to go more with, okay, I want these center backs to push and be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe he was going with that at the start, but we didn't have much of a chance to see it. Not a lot of emphasis on play with the ball at all, actually. You mentioned the three attackers. Gonzalo was there pretty much just to take care of Nuno Mendes. He wasn't there to really provide a lot for the team as much as can I take the load of Nuno off Valverde because he already has to deal with Kvara. So then you had Fabian, who is a mismatch for Arda, and he's just like
God,
very hard. I don't really understand the decision of Alonso on that matter, because if you really wanted to go man for man with PSG, with a team that's very fluid, why? I don't understand.
I don't think he wanted to go man for man. I think what he wanted was the second you guys lose the ball, no matter where they lose the ball, at some point they're going to give it up. They don't really like to, and they don't do it. But when they do, and we saw it early, their plan was, I think, to go long to Garcia on Nuno. Like, I think they were trying to, like, the first play of the game was a long ball. We got the ball. We did what PSG do. We long balled it to the winger. And I think the idea was that if we don't have all three of those guys up front, PSG will just walk circles and eventually they'll just get to us. The idea was that, like, you need something to make them think before making runs forward. And that didn't happen. But I feel like that was the reasoning, because you take away one of the three. Let's just say we get boxed into our half, maybe with, I don't know who you'd play, maybe a Rodrigo, let's just say. I don't know, which we'll get to. See, that's the thing. At that point, you just play Garcia, though, because Garcia gives you more transition threat and he tries. But I guess the big question is, like, I don't think Xabi saw Garcia getting taken out of the offense like that and just being forced to play so much defense on Nuno.
But I think, and this is sort of, look, and Xabi Alonso knows way more about football than I'll ever know, so I'm going to start with that. But when you have sort of a small sample size of success, right, which were after the Al Hilal tie, when Goulet started, and we pretty much went with that same 11 all the way through until recently, that crew builds a level of connectivity and cohesiveness with a new system, where you see they are starting to get in touch with each other's movements. They know everybody is, right? And you see a little bit more connectivity, right? Like, and why everybody's in the places they need to be. Less of that sort of spread outness where you're getting sliced and diced through the middle of the park, right? That wasn't happening as much because those guys were starting to get a rhythm. The minute you had two people out of the lineup of that 11 and you had to replace them with two new people, that immediately throws off the chemistry from jump. Not because the two people who are coming in aren't good. It's because they haven't played any actual minutes together in a pressurized environment where they know what to do, right? That other crew, 5 games. So again, they weren't perfect, but they at least had something to go off of because they've had the pressure cooker of being in those situations. This new lineup, first time ever played, shit, because 0 opportunity on a pitch in any low stakes game. It's the semifinals of a major competition. Yeah, good luck, right? So of course you were seeing gaps and things that happen from a poor execution standpoint, right? Just because they weren't where they were comfortable and where they were starting to see success. As much as these are elite football talents, when you're learning something new, what do you need more than ever? You need repetition, right? You need going over and over and over. Again, this is we talked about this with Tchouaméni and Camavinga, and everybody getting so mad about why they aren't where they're supposed to be. I'm like, well, because if you imagine them as midfielders and every 5 matches they have to play in the back line, well, of course their midfield play isn't good because they have to go play center back and left back, right? Like, same thing with this. This is the situation here. And so now I'm not blaming him because what else was he going to do? I mean, I guess you could have played Rodrigo, I guess. Like, I don't think the outcome would have been any different.
Well, that's a tricky thing. So you played Rodrigo. You're not getting any. You're not changing your defense. Like,
right,
getting a better defense with Rodrigo. I think that's a big question because everyone's like, 2 big problems. How did Vinny and Mbappe press? And then our center backs' mistakes, right? That's what everyone's screaming about. That's what everyone sees. Which, like, are those necessarily different? Like, even if you get better center backs, was Vinny and Mbappe's pressing the problem for you that game, Loconte? What do you think? Like, what did you see with
I
their
don't think
coverage?
they were asked to press
You
because
don't think
there
they're
was such a huge gap between the attackers and the midfielders
Mm-hmm.
where they were just asked to float, try to disrupt. I think that it was an Alonso choice. And that's why Gonzalo was like tasked more wider. You could see how big the gap between like those two and the others were. Even when we were hitting on the fast breaks, it was just one or these two guys. You had the sequence where Mbappe had to go like 40 meters alone with the ball dribbling out, and hopefully I can take a shot here. That's by design. Unfortunately, I think that Alonso put a lot of emphasis on how can I stop PSG rather than how can I beat PSG. And of course, as Jared said, it's a new group by technicalities, so they're not used. You're using a new system and you're adapting to the opponent. On top of it, it's a semifinal, it's a trophy that you wanted to win, a lot of pressure at stake, which obviously leads to a lot of things. But I don't think that if you go and say that Vini and Mbappe are the guys to blame when the team is clearly not pressing, there's no pressing trigger at all, not even from Jude, right? Who would have usually been the man leading it? Not even from him. He's just staying back, afloat, trying to read where the passages of the play, and we were just getting cut. I think it was by design.
Interesting. And do you think you think that he put too much emphasis into how we can stop them? Why would he leave them high though? If I feel like he instead missed that, hey, you need to stop them to have a chance in the first place. And he's like, hey, if we got to leave them high. I guess maybe he didn't want to lose in like a 2-0 boring, they pass it around our box. Maybe he wanted to give it a chance of being a 4-3 because he thought the only way to win is to shake it up. That's what I saw personally. And well, I guess also just one more note. In terms of tools we have, we literally had, outside Rodrigo, like we have Brahim, who's not a winger, but we have very few tools. Someone like Franco would be perfect to track Nuno maybe up and down, like a young, like winger. He would have been so nice, right? So I think the other thing with Vinny and Mbappe is even if we don't start them, does our other lineup do anything different? No. And I think that's what frustrates me. It's that a lot of people are acting like this was avoidable or that our season's over. It's like a lot of things went wrong together at the same time. And so you get a game like this.
I think there
Yeah,
was also a bit of lack of trust on the center back pairing. Uh, I believe that. I think there was a lack of trust in that. You guys can have your thoughts. For me, it was like just the design of the team and the way how he went. I don't think he believed those two were able to pull off a more proactive, I guess, approach.
I mean, again, when you have a setup where Trent and Dean are so integral to the offense, and you replace them with Fede and Asensio. I mean, and it's not about it's Fede playing left back. Not that he's a bad midfielder. He's an excellent midfielder. This is a problem, right? You are tasking someone to do something that they are not capable of doing, or that they have not showed the ability to do. Right, one of the two. Right, that's ultimately what's happening. And so now, what do we have to do? Hope that, to your point, we get the ball long, right? Our wingers can exploit something out on the wings, which they were not able to do, right? Like, yeah, we had that sort of opening sequence after PSG had that first shot on goal that Courtois saved, but was it really a chance? A half chance, maybe, right? Like, we had no ability to possess the ball and threaten PSG in any meaningful way, right? And that's because we could not handle their pressure. And so much so that two routine plays, right, which are clearances, our center backs literally whiffed on the ball, right, and did not strike them cleanly. Like,
Yeah,
and that led to two direct goals, right? Those were the first two goals of the game.
it was just like the Varane moment against City, two in a row. Like it felt like that, where it's just two avoidable mistakes. Whatever momentum you might have had coming in are gone. You got to throw it out. Um, and for sure, they're totally avoidable. With Rudiger, interesting convo about his health. Loconte, you were bringing up some points before we started. The like Militao comes back after his second ACL tear, and he actually does look like an athlete. Rudiger looks like Luis Suarez out there, man. Like you
But
watch.
Sid, remember, this is what I was telling you when weeks ago when you were like, "Oh, I'm not worried about Rodrigo. He hasn't had that many minutes." And I'm like, "Dude, like he's already plus 30. Like I don't like anybody over the age of 30 in professional sports worries me. Point blank. Period. Full stop. Like I am worried. Like yeah, you can tell me about LeBron and KD or whatever in other sports. I'm like, yeah, but they're outliers for a reason, right? Like everybody else when they hit 30. I am already in panic mode because I'm like, anytime you get an injury, now you're coming back a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, right? And for someone like Rudiger, whose speed is so important, right, to peak Rudiger, those soft tissue injuries he had and that surgery not helpful. Not to mention, we ran him into the ground the last two seasons, right? Literally ground him into the ground. So that we may not get him back to that level of 2 years ago where he was literally in the conversation for best center back in the world. He may not reach that level ever again.
So what we got today was karma, like for what we did to him. Almost like I saw that mistake. I'm like, okay, like Asensio, fine. We need to replace him after the tournament. In my opinion, Asensio totally needs to be replaced. Like he needs to be bumped one spot down in the rotation until he's ready, and maybe even you consider loaning him out and just replacing him at this point. It's like for center backs, like mistakes are like worth like they're like the inverse of goals, and they're worth like a bunch. Like you can only make so many in a season.
Yeah.
What do you think, Loconte?
Loconte pointed this out. Your point about the mistakes he was making, even when he's playing well.
That's the issue with Asensio, right? The reason why we drew comparisons to Ramos was that Ramos used to be a bit of error prone, right? But he would save you like 10 goals before he made an error, which kind of it's self-explanatory, right? The load. But with Asensio, it's just like too raw every game now. It's a pattern. It's really like when the sample size is as big as Asensio's is, it's not just this Club World Cup, right? Penalty against Arsenal, the red card, getting hooked at half time by Ancelotti quite a few times. Those are red flags when you look at him. And I genuinely agree with Sid when he said that he needs to be put really on the end load of the players or maybe loan him out if you're going to make a signing. That is because With Alonso, I think that you want to stack up as many center backs as possible and hope that they grow into the system with time. But it's a bit of an issue. Rudiger is my bigger problem because he really hasn't given us like anything to hope. Like, I haven't seen that acceleration back. I'm not even seeing good reading of the play. He's very sloppy. Like, I can understand that coming back from an injury with a new coach and a completely new setup now, where you have to adjust and correct quite a bit because he's playing as a deepest center back. I can understand that you can struggle. How often do we get a player that hasn't put a foot right, honestly, turn it around?
Well, I think the only hope is you got to give him a vacation, and like he just looks slow, and he just looks like his body won't give out, but Militao
He
did.
got himself
He came back too early from the surgery. Like I've been saying this. Like he wasn't supposed to play this Club World Cup. This wasn't supposed to happen. And they were like, oh, well, we got no choice. You got to play.
Well, they look at the risk reward. They're like, okay, we already tore Militao's ACL a second time. We can't do it a third time. So who are we going to screw over? Rudiger.
Why not tear another one? Come on.
Well, no, because you have Rudiger who can ruin his career instead and bring Militao back, right? That's the reasoning, as you saw at the end. But it is very annoying, and that's where, honestly, my first thought was like, if that's one of the big bottlenecks for our team, then the other big bottleneck is like Fede needs to rest because he's the next Rudiger at this rate, and so if you get we saw what happened to who?
Jude.
Yeah, but Jude has the forced 3 months.
God, he has the forced shoulder surgery coming. Thank God.
Yeah,
but that's forced, right?
But no, I mean, dude, that seems the only way we're gonna get these big guys.
I'd rather force surgery every 2 years, so he plays to 30, than no forced surgeries and he burns out at 23.
That's sad.
No, but seriously, that's how it works. Like,
but this is why I've been saying, Sid, the depth on this squad. Look, they're getting all their kudos because we got Trent and Dean, and we're getting Alvaro Carreras most likely. Like, yeah, great. This team needs actual quality depth, right? We see that. It is clear that we need that. If we're going to go on and win trophies and tournaments and play in every possible major tournament this club wants to play, we have to have depth, and we don't have enough right now. We just don't.
I have a question that I would like both of you to answer. If we had, let's say, okay, let me take, since you said Carreras, right? So let's take his teammate, Antonio Silva. If we had him on the team tonight, do you think that Alonso changes the setup?
No.
Probably not.
Unless you think Silva's of the caliber of Huijsen and Trent, which I'm assuming he's not of that caliber and build-up. Let's say he's a more reliable than Rudiger and Asensio without being of the caliber of Huijsen and Trent and build-up. No, because I think he still fears their ability to play through the press. He still sees the need to have a high front three and go long. I think only a full-strength team prevents us from setting up this way. Or at least if we had Trent, maybe we try to play in possession as well. But I think when you lose two of both the high-volume signings in build-up, the only way this was ending was going long. And I think at that point, you're playing the front three because you don't have Franco, you only have Rodrigo. You lose Fede in midfield. You don't have Camavinga. Now, if we have Camavinga, okay, different story. Camavinga, Goulart, Tchouameni, Jude. You go Gonzalo, Vinny, bring on Mbappe.
We don't have Camavinga.
And honestly, that big problem for this team for years has been that Camavinga is just injured no matter what. Like, whether he's playing or not, he's just always hurt, and that needs to change soon. This season is nice time to change that.
This is the key to this midfield being what we think it can be. Is Camavinga actually having a fully healthy season? And Sid, you know this is someone who's doing this on the other side in terms of work that you do business-wise. Whatever he's doing from a training, diet, whatever, like he is a special athlete in that he has an abundance of like high twitch, fast muscle fibers, right? Like in his body, more so than most people. Those kinds of athletes, right, need special, I mean, every athlete does, if we're being honest, specialized training and recovery, right? Because of the way his body is structured. And this is the areas where Madrid needs to be doing all of its greatest club in the world, innovation, what have you, areas like here, because this is a player who, Loconte believes this because he said it last year when I'm with him, he has a chance to be a generational level midfielder. That's how talented Camavinga is. But he ain't ever going to get there if he's hurt every 3 weeks. It's never going to happen. Like, so this is a big part of what this team has to do. And I know that Xavi brought in a new training staff and all that. Those guys, we have to find a way to get them healthy and keep them healthy.
We don't really know if they're getting that though, because like with Vini, we didn't know that. I'm talking Vini that was struggling under Zidane. We didn't really know that he was working with a psychologist, sports psychologist, before it came out, right? We don't really know how it functions, how those deep ends of the things. So with Camavinga, for all we know, maybe he's assigned a professional to work with him on day-to-day basis on his daily life outside of what happens inside the Madrid training center. So all of these things could be happening. We don't know. But yes, his health is a problem because every injury with him, it doesn't seem to be like a small cramp where I'm 2 weeks out.
It's 3 months.
Always months and months. And it's kind of trend where you can see that those months are just adding up, right? 2 years ago, it was going like 2 months, and now it's suddenly we're up to 4.
And what it is it's a roster spot now that is occupied by someone, but you can't fill it anywhere. Because, right? Like this is the thing that people need to understand. Oh, when so-and-so gets healthy, okay, but what are you doing for the 6 months he's not? You can't just get somebody else. He's on the roster, right? Like, and he's taking up a spot. Like, this is why health of players is so paramount, especially of those caliber players, right? Because you can't replace them, right? Like, when they go down, you're like, crap, who else are we going to get that's a Camavinga replacement? We don't have one, right?
Yeah.
There isn't one.
Yeah, that's where, so when you look at the number of players then who are taking up a roster spot without always being healthy, it's Camavinga, Rudiger, or reliable. I should say reliable, not healthy. I should say right now, who you can't pick all the time this season. Camavinga, Rudiger, Militao, Asensio, Alaba. So that's a lot of spots. If you can just...
Rodrigo?
Yes, I would. The only reason I didn't is because he was available for a lot of last year. You could pick him. But yes, in terms of what you're...
injury-wise. Okay, but I don't think he's as reliable of a end product type of player that
No, he's not.
If I get an attacking injury, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna slot Rodrigo in and I'm fully comfortable. I don't think we're there with him.
I don't think we're there right now because of the last tough couple years. But I mean, I'm just saying, leaving out his last year, like Alaba, all these guys are injured, like straight up Alaba, Rudiger, Militao. It's just bad. I know we tried to get Alaba bought out, but at this point, Asensio, the problem is he's on the cheapest contract. There isn't even too much value to getting rid of him, and he's healthy. So, like, maybe you hope you can coach him.
You keep him.
Right.
Yeah, but Rudiger is old. Yeah, Militao and Alaba are coming off injury. So those 3 roster spots need to get condensed. 1 and 2.
Carvajal this past year. Also, I forgot about that. He was a roster spot that
He was. I actually think
he's supposed to come back in October, and suddenly he's playing now.
Yeah, I don't love it. Thank goodness it was only like a few minutes and we're done now. So he won't play again until...
Isn't that a bit rushed? No?
I think so.
I think with ACLs, it's all case to case. So, I mean, it's all individual.
ACL and MCL, both?
It was pretty bad. I'm pretty sure it was bad. I'm just saying, with the way techniques are, like, every player is different. And so I'm sure he passed some markers to be out there. And hey, like, again, we don't have to
he's passed some tests.
He's not fed. He's not fed.
Do you even need him to play?
He's not fed.
Trained, to be honest.
No, agreed. I just mean he's not Fede. Trent is there. He's going to retire nice. Rudiger is going to die. Fede might die. It's just a 2 days there left. Like Carvajal, okay, at least he had an honorable ending. He won, and then he got injured in a bad year that nobody's going to remember anyways. These guys in their prime, like their whole story is going to be written, ran into the ground in his prime by Real Madrid. Like that's how the story will be written for Fede, potentially.
Just, I look. How much money do we make off this Club World Cup? Over 100 million, right? All with the signing fee and everything. Please use that money to continue to bolster the depth of this squad. Like, I think to your point, Loconte, it might have been a little bit of Xavi being like, okay, well, this is what we got, Florentino and the board. Like, when we have an injury, this is what's going to happen. This is who I have to put out here. And I'm telling you, I need another midfielder. I need another center back. Like, you're telling me no? Well, this is what's going to happen if you don't give me these 3 things.
I'm not that concerned about the midfield, but defense, especially central defenders, right? I'm a bit concerned. I'm gonna be honest. I think Militao, like at not prime levels, but an optimal level, Militao slots in as that right center back comfortably.
Yeah.
But that's the only guy that you can reliably say that will do that job for me.
That's
And
like a
then
hope.
there is a
We're
guy with
hoping for that, right, guys? That's a hope.
ACL.
There's no get. We're hoping he can slot in, right? That's a hope. And you know
Yeah,
me, hope is not a
because
strategy.
of the injuries, right? Because of the number of injuries. So even if you're Madrid right now, right? When you look at the center back market, I think there are a few that you can sign. What type do you sign? Because
You signed Konate,
where
right?
Alonso really wants to go with this. So it's really complicated. But the level of both center backs that we had today is just
Atrocious. What would I know what he wants wage wise, even though he has 2 more years left on his deal or a year left?
1 year left on his deal.
Okay.
Also, I just want to say,
Ibrahima Konate?
Yeah. What would he cost transfer wise to get?
I mean,
100?
you're telling Liverpool that I got your transfer free, so pretty much you kind of sat there. You go like 30 mil maybe, and
30.
you are like, well, do you want 30 mil right now, or do you want to lose him for free next year? Because his agent is already doing work. Let's be real. Oh, there are news already.
I love our recruitment.
But that's what you do. You say, hey, either free or you get
or
some money.
You take the sum. Kind of like what Madrid did to PSG for Mbappe, if we want to be honest. On 2022, they went like, this is the money. The year prior to Mbappe signing, PSG put Mbappe with the players that they wanted sold or out, and they were pretty much telling Madrid, hey, this guy's available, come and pay that sum now. And Paris went like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to get him for free. So it's like we have shown that we are patient when it comes to waiting for the players. It's just now there are a conundrum there. Does Konate want the money because of the fact that when you sign as a
free transfer,
you get like bumped wages, you get a lot of bonuses? Does Konate go like, I might win Premier League this season too, and then I join them for free next year and make a lot more money? Or is he like, well, I'm seeing that right center back spot, and like Lenny Oro last year was supposed to be that guy, but look, they found Dean Huijsen now, and he's the next star, and they don't care about Euro anymore. So it's like, how would that be even perceived? Because even if you sign Ibrahima Konate, I'm still going to be honest, you still haven't solved the 3-at-back conundrum with the central center back, right? So normally here we could potentially be speaking about 2 center backs and not 1.
Saliba and Bastoni. Just get all 3 of them, and then next year get rid of Alaba. Flo, just call one of your construction friends and ask for a loan. I don't know.
Like, if what's available, I would genuinely get Upamecano. Genuinely.
No, I would not. No, he's not good. No, you would not.
No, he's really good.
I really don't rate him. I do not rate him. Okay, let's talk about this. This is fun.
I like him.
Oh, you like him too? Oh my god,
I do like him. Listen,
I really like him.
I'm all about France FC at Real Madrid. So give me.
Listen, I want to say this. I just want to say this. Before they left Leipzig, we're talking years, I thought Konate was better than Upamecano, and that Bayern made a mistake. So I've been on this train for years. Maybe it's a confirmation bias, but Upamecano is like an expensive and way better, but like the Asensio mold of like always got a bozo mistake in him. And then
he doesn't make a mistake.
Konate for me is like Varane. Wait, Sid, he's like Rafa Varane.
Do you mean Upamecano or Upamecano? Who are you talking about?
The Bayern center back.
Yeah.
I know. I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you because you're mispronouncing his name.
Okay. I was just like, wait, is there another one? These fans are going to rip into me. Where's the other one? I never heard of him. Like, I'm talking about the one I've seen. The fans will come from.
But to that, though, Upamecano under Nagelsmann was a scary thought.
Okay. But that was the only time he was a guaranteed scary thought all the time. Outside that context, he's had a lot of ups and downs. But with that being said, okay, you would go for him. That's crazy. Absolutely wild to me. But
but how about Juni Califat? You found Franco Massantuano. We signed the kid from Ajax Academy going to Castilla. It seems like everybody you sign for the most part that you identify as young talent are always forward players and midfielders. Can you not identify young center backs?
Well, he got Militao. He got us Militao. I think.
But go get us the next 17-year-old center back out there. Go find him.
He got us Euro, and then Euro got greedy. Euro got greedy and got tricked by his agent.
I think Euro was kind of off because of Jorge Mendes.
His agent told him to take more money.
Yeah.
Because Jorge Mendes wanted to move the other client to United as well, Ugarte, and so he told Euro like, hey, he basically cooked the negotiations for us, and Euro on top of that. Also, it was a difference of about 2.5 to 3x almost on the contract, I believe. It was a big difference.
But we have seen that also the club has tried to steer clear of Jorge Mendes clients for quite a while now, especially after that Ronaldo
Cristiano.
fiasco
Yep.
at the end. I think they hate him. They genuinely must hate his guts.
Yeah,
So,
no, I get it. They overshadowed a final. Like,
but from the current roster, if you play 3 at back, let's say you play this shapeshift 3 at back, can you trust Carvajal as a right center back?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He is so good. He's
Carreras is, he would be ideal on paper.
He is actually, I would actually argue he is the definition of a right back that can play a little center back as he gets old. Like, you're not going to get more. He's named Daniel Carvajal Ramos, for God's sake. Like,
yeah.
But see, this is what I'm saying about players who are over 30. Carvajal is 33, coming off a major injury. That is concerning to me. Very concerning. Well, because what's going to happen is you're going to say, oh, grind him into the ground now. He's what? Like, again, we need layers and depth there, right? Like, I can't have Carvajal be like the main dude. Like,
totally.
Cannot.
But just on who we're signing, I just want to say realistically, I think Saliba and Konate are the targets. Like, whether who we want, they're all different. I think the agents are already pretty deep with them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're negotiating at this point. And it's so funny.
There's still
what
also...
if something happens on the Rodrigo deal?
Oh, you mean
Arsenal pull out because they go for someone else?
No. What if Madrid go like, okay, I want one of the center backs?
Saliba.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Well, it all comes down to Saliba then. Saliba needs to convince Arsenal, hey guys, like if you don't swap me, I promise you, like this will not end well between us.
Yeah, but it looks like it's not gonna end well anyways.
Right.
You know,
between Saliba,
he's a free agent in 2.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
It looks like still Saliba doesn't seem that committed to Arsenal to be like, okay, I'm gonna enter negotiations now. You don't want negotiations in the last year.
Also, if he was there tonight, just saying, not many one player you could swap in and change the whole game. But if there's one guy, in my opinion, I was just watching the game, I'm like, if there's a guy who could suddenly inspire confidence, I think Saliba over Asensio would change the whole team.
Yeah,
like he's so good. Saliba, like in my opinion, defensively, his impact is like similar to prime Ramos in terms of how much space he can cover. He's very like as an athlete. If I had to compare him as an athlete to how he feels, how he plays, the way his personality, he's just like Ramos to me. And even Rudiger kind of was before he joined. But Saliba, you could argue, is a different level to Rudiger when he joined. Like this is the best center back in the world, right now, I would say.
Van Dijk.
Still so
along with Van Dijk. I mean, both of them.
That dude is still so fucking good, man.
Yeah, imagine Van Dijk on this team, though.
Oh, I got no problems. Now we're okay.
I'm on the age side of things with Van Dijk. I like Saliba's athleticism. Sorry, go ahead. Go
ahead. When January was, 7 months ago now, I had that delusion of Van Dijk and Trent on a free. I was delusional for a bit, and then a month later he goes on science, and I'm like, fuck, gone.
I wonder what's going through their head at that point. Firstly, I don't think we would pursue him too much just because you know how we are as a team.
Yeah, because of his age, right?
Yeah,
we were never going to give the contract. Yeah,
but man, not even just Van Dijk. Now you got me thinking. They had a left-footed right winger who was running his contract down too, named Mo Salah. And damn, what if we could have talked them all in? But I'm just joking. But I think, but Franco's going to help this team. Alvaro's going to help this team. We're going to sign. Looks like we're going to go push for a center back after this. Looks like we got our striker. Feels like we're just like, it's just a move, right? Is there anything major? Like Camavinga needs to stay healthy so he can rotate Fede, and Fede's not the one taking all the load for both their minutes. I feel like that's a lot of it. Now, one thing, I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
When Jude is out, who is the Jude replacement? Who's Jude's backup?
Franco, probably.
And Brahim. That's not, to some degree.
Brahim, but I think Franco is going to be the guy who gets the nod.
A lot of minutes. Well, we have Franco, Gonzalo, Vini, and Mbappe. And on that note, so when Jude is out, and Jude out, kind of like Fede moving out of the midfield, it's going to create a whole new set of issues and how our front attacking dynamics go. What do you guys think of Vinny and Mbappe. We talked a little bit about Garcia. Now, I personally just want to say, like, the dynamics between them. Garcia tracking the Nuno Mendes definitely took him out of the game a little on offense. It was harder to find him because it's like, why is Garcia the one on the right wing and Mbappe? Get your ass out there, track Nuno, bro. Like, let's be honest. It like the best outcome for this team from a like geometric spatial athleticism perspective is Kylian sprinting down the right and getting on the end of those balls. Garcia was working his ass off as a right winger, but I don't think this works if Garcia has to track the right back. I think this works if Garcia is the striker and Vinny and Mbappe are playing off him a little more.
I'm just gonna say, thank God there's just one Nuno Mendes, and you don't go through that again. There's just one of that guy. So yeah,
but we had Hakimi looking like the second coming tonight. Like, I mean, look, we all talked about Vinny and Mbappe together, and there's tons of people in the chat saying they're never going to work. They're never going to work. They're never going to work. I will say that's likely incorrect given their combined goal and assist output in a down season, right? Still very high. What they need to be better at is when they are not pressing, just their ability to close off simple passing angles of the opponent. Like, can you do that? When you are running towards somebody, can you take the right angle to cut off the pass that's going to now lead to a huge part of their buildup? Make them go backward and recycle the ball. Can you do that? That's all. Just get better at that. Please, get better at that.
Yeah, Ronaldo and Benzema. Very elite.
Yeah.
Just get better at doing that. And because they are horrendous at that. Fucking terrible.
Because when you combine that with their inability to head the ball, it's like these guys are nowhere near the Ronaldo Benzema right now. We need a lot more. They're not, their dribbling isn't delivering too. And it makes me like a lot for people who are worried. I think the biggest worry with Vinny and Mbappe is how quickly does their dribbling fall off in long spaces, because that's the first thing that falls off for every winger. Even Messi, the first thing in my opinion that he lost was like very long distance acceleration and transition. Then he started maybe losing it even in shorter spaces. But the first thing, 20, 30 yards. So that's starting to go. I think that's relevant. But Loconte, what do you think of Vinny's like Club World Cup? A lot of people are complaining about a Club World Cup. I just want to know or both of you, like especially you, Loconte, just because the way you think of the game. What do you think of Vinny?
I thought he had a poor game against Dortmund, poor game tonight, poor against Al Hilal. I thought he was very good on the other games. So it's like a 50-50 split in terms of his performances, right? But it's also the conditions that he's put in, what he's asked to do. I said that I hope to see Vinny more centrally and Jude wider for today's game if we want to recycle possession higher up, because Vinny keeps kind of like over dribbling it, timing is a bit off. But all of these in my eyes are coachable. All of these in my eyes are more time on the training ground, You're used to be different. You're used to have a bigger ball load, and now you're being asked to release it quicker, to play quicker. For Vinny, it's arguably the biggest change, but I think that he's going to be one of the biggest players to benefit from all of this. Just like you said, from career standpoint, this is taking like that high load of extra yards of dribbling kind of way, because the team is more set up like that. I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm not shocked that this was the result. I think that normally he was fine in general, 50-50.
Yeah, I thought Vinny, to look at this point, mixed bag this Club World Cup, right? Like, obviously the last few games poor. When he played centrally, I loved it in this Club World Cup. I'm like, this is how I like Vinny to play, right? And he had this nice synergy working, playing off of Gonzalo Garcia, right? Now, I'm not saying that he can't have that with Kylian and all that. Like, it's just that the way Gonzalo is wired and the way his brain works to understand the game, it fits better with what Vinny wants to do, right? In those moments. Whereas, as we talked about a million times, Kylian and Vinny, it's not that they're not smart. They just often want to do the same kinds of things often, right? And that causes issues. And, do you move one out left and put the other one centrally, right? Is that better, right? Is it better to have, well, that's the question we should ask, right? Should Vinny be the one playing centrally and you move Kylian out left, right? Like, is this what we do now to make things better going forward?
it's just so funny because Killian, not long ago, Vinny was cooking, like as someone in the chat pointed, and Killian was just struggling. And now it's flipped. But just want to say that Vinny struggled under Zidane partly because for somewhat similar reasons that we're seeing now, in that in a positional system, a winger like him has to be a lot more careful with when they speed up the game or slow it down. They need to be slowing it down like a lot.
Most of the time.
Yeah. And they need to pick their moments and still thrive, even though they're being forced to pick their moments. And like he really was. The thing is, Vinny under Zidane the first time wasn't struggling actually as a creator. It was just as a finisher. It's funny. Now he's starting to struggle, I guess, a little more as a creator at points, just his first touch, his dribble, which he did also a little then. But the biggest problem under Zidane was he was just underperforming his XG significantly, missing everything, wasting chances in front of goal. But I just feel like as the winger gets older, we saw this from Ronaldo. We moved from a more transition team under Mourinho to a more possession-oriented team under Carlo, and then extremely under Zidane. And also just going back to his time as United, Ronaldo went from 5-6 dribbles a game to 3 to 4 dribbles a game to 2 to 3, 1 to 2 to not even dribbling. It's just natural. And I think we have to accept that maybe Vinny, like it's hard to accept, but if there's a tough, bitter pill to swallow, and that's where this tournament being in a weird time of the year means maybe it's not true, is that Vinny might have peaked as a pure dribbler. And just like Killian probably already has a few years ago from what we're seeing. And what we have to deal with is a guy who's not as good and at dribbling. And the hard thing to do with guys who can't dribble is if they can't head it, they still need to be effective creators. But like you said, Loconte, I think this is all coachable. And that's where when you're like carrying teams for so long, being forced to play in damn July, man, for a guy like him, Vinny needs a little break too. Like we just need, all our guys need to make sure they're fully fit going forward. But yeah, I just feel like, if he's like 80% physically, that changes the whole way you view the tournament, because this guy needs to be 100% to beat his man. Like he's a striker.
It's gonna be very hard, right? La Liga starts in a month, and it's like these players have to be back in training in like what 2.5 weeks now.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Presumably, or 1st of August. Alonso is probably gonna call them. Second, he's gonna tell them, "Okay, guys, time to regroup."
La Liga already denied Madrid's request to push back game on. They're like, "No." Tebas is like, "Fuck you." No, you're playing on the 19th.
Yeah, and the sad part about that was that Osasuna agreed to doing it.
Yeah,
they agreed to doing it, and La Liga still went like, nope.
I want to address this cake eater comment right here. Dembele, Doué, Rafinha, and the rest played just as much while defending and working much harder than Vinny. I want to be very clear about something. Go look at the total minutes that Dembele and Doué and all those guys played this season. Far less than most of Madrid's players, right? Those guys had a nice rotation this season.
Yeah.
Right?
And
nice rotation this season.
Inflated numbers. I'm telling you right now. This harder than the COVID tax.
Or the tax.
Yeah. Like whatever you want to put it, like respectfully, please don't put Rafinha and Vini on the same sentence. Dembele, okay, but as Jarod mentioned, he played like 22 League One games?
19 League One games, 19 weeks ordering Uber Eats and watching League One games.
And guess what? He came into Club World Cup injured. And it's like,
right, exactly, right.
And
then boom, just rests him 3 games and plays his Quicha, his Doué.
Just imagine having that luxury, imagine if Messi and Ronaldo had that luxury. They would have still been playing at the top probably and competing for the Ballon d'Or, but instead these guys have to rack up like 4,000 minutes a season.
Enrique somehow one-upped Pep's choice of club, man. He did it. Like, he somehow one-upped Pep. Like, Pep goes and picks a team that gives him endless players. Enrique one-upped it. I can rest my team. I don't play Liverpool, Arsenal. Joke's on you, Pep. You went to the league with Klopp and Arteta's. Joke's on you, clown. I got my second treble, and look how easy that was.
I got oil money too, by the way. Just so you know. He's just like, this player, 75 million? Yeah, of
January?
course.
Sure.
Bringing a 75 million player off the bench in Gonzalo Ramos.
This is interesting.
And if you get it wrong, you just loan him out to Juve, Colomani. It's ridiculous.
They have Colomani on top.
No, he's on Juve.
Right? He's on Juve. Yeah. This is interesting from Nemirium. Did you guys notice how as soon as Mbappe enters the 11, Vinicius stops pressing? He was intense with Gigi before this game at Loconte.
Yeah, but again, one game, it's a very small sample, and I don't think that Vini and Mbappe, as I said at the start of the show, were instructed to press. They were instructed more to cut passing angles and passing lanes, but everything was kind of broken apart very easy. We didn't get to see what we wanted to do. I'm not gonna go and be like, okay, one game, Vini's not gonna work now because Mbappe is not going.
Right.
I don't think that exists. I don't
The
think
other-
that's right.
The other thing I'll say, guys, is for all these fans who want to pile on Vinny right now because it's fun and it's easy, right? Because he's in a bad run of form right now. I promise you, replace Vinicius with just a league average player, and you'll be crying, begging for Vinny to come back. All I'm saying, like, trust me, like he's having a bad run right now, but this guy is one of the world's best.
I just have a question for people that if they want to engage on the chat. If you're replacing Vinicius on this team, benching him, what are you benching him for?
Rodrigo, they say. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, Rodrigo got benched the whole tournament. So on that note, I mean, I know we brought it up before, but just once more, like it just speaks volumes that like no matter the scenario or the situation, we just didn't count on him. Like we counted on Modric almost more. Like we just didn't count on Rodrigo, and it's because he didn't have the burst. And you know, maybe Vinny and Rodrigo were both lacking some burst. But then you see when Vinny lacks burst, it's a subpar tournament. Rodrigo lacks burst, he can't get on the pitch. It's like levels, but you know, it's just funny those combos were just 5 games ago, and then Rodrigo hasn't seen a minute since those conversations happened.
Well, that's the thing. And if Alonso is not even giving him garbage minutes, what does that tell you?
I'm just hoping the deal is done. That means the deal is done.
You know, like he went from starting out saying Rodrigo is an important player, right? He started game 1. Didn't do much in that. I mean, he had the assist, right? We got to give him credit for the assist, but you know, he had all the problems that we talk about, which is he's not fast on the ball. He gets dispossessed too easily. Like, right? Like, so what you think because you put him on the side he likes, he's all of a sudden going to get faster and not get knocked off the ball?
Right. Also, his XG and expected assist total is like lower than Vinny's when he plays on the left anyways, so I just don't get
it. He just doesn't beat Vinny in any category. No creativity. We're not even getting into athleticism at all, you know, because it's a pointless debate there. So it's just like Rodrigo would be nice for other teams, not for this.
What if Arsenal I think Arsenal actually maybe Arsenal talk to us and is like, play him some, maybe they saw, but like don't make it obvious that like the deal is done. We'll finish the deal after the tournament because we got to iron out this little shit, but you can take him to the tournament because y'all don't get Franco and y'all need him. And then maybe they watch that first game and they're like, hey, stop playing him. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe. I'm just saying, because Arsenal are also trying to play the leverage game with teams. So maybe they don't want everyone to know deal is done. So teams think they want players. Like, they think they're on the market for a left wing and they find out what teams are doing. And I'm just saying, because why else would he play zero? Like, it is a very weird way he's played minutes. And it's like, almost so harsh that it's like without any thought of how much he's worth on the market, almost as if it's been decided already.
Well, that's the point, right? Is that you can't even get garbage minutes. I mean, right? This is what he's telling you.
Maybe due to respect, maybe. You know, maybe I respect you a little bit more than give you those 10 minutes when.
But if he is this game-changing player that so many of these fans think, why, when they subbed off Vinny, they didn't put Rodrigo in the game?
Mm-hmm.
If he's a game changer, you all think he is, right? Why didn't Xavi put him in the game?
Yep.
And I also think the big thing people need to realize is Franco is going to be important from early. That's my big prediction. Just watching the whole Club World Cup, we need Franco. We need that profile like oxygen. That area of the pitch is starving for a guy who cuts in and dribbles like him. So
we need to address a comment that was like, "Oh, Franco is not like a specimen athletically." When we were speaking about him being a good Rodrigo replacement,
listen,
the point isn't to be a specimen as athletic player. The point is you need to be at least an expert at something that you do. And Franco is very good at coming on the inside, playing that short pass. And unlike Rodrigo, he actually duels players, you know, like we already saw that. Unlike Rodrigo, in fact, he actually goes against players. Like he was going against Ramos, for the love of God. I know that it was a 39 years old Ramos, but that's still, you know, as 18 years old who can't even get the Spanish passport. That's huge to me. And Franco is just a different profile, and it's a pity profile, especially if you don't have players like Jude on the pitch. If you need a little bit more needle pass, if you're going to lose Arda, going to use Arda a little bit deeper. He gives you that thing which Rodrigo is not gonna. You're not gonna sit here and tell me that Rodrigo is going to give you a killer pass, because I don't think I've seen that guy do a killer pass once in his career, let
To
alone
my
expect that out of him consistently.
to my eyes, and let me know if you guys agree with this. Again, I have to have actual metrics done to make it a definitive thing, but to my eyes, Franco already looks faster than Rodrigo, to my eyes.
He is. He
To
is.
my eyes as well. People say he doesn't. My eyes, that's what I see.
That's what I see. And physically, he also looks physically stronger than Rodrigo to my eyes.
Yeah, and like 5 years younger on top of it. So
I don't
the
know.
upside of development is much higher.
Also, the same age version. The same age. Like I remember just go watch the highlights of Rodrigo at the same age versus Franco. Like Rodrigo was good, but he wasn't like. We brought him for his technique and finesse. To be honest, the path for him to being elite was like becoming a plus finisher, like a really plus ball striker with his clean technique. Yes. And he never got there.
The pass too, right?
Or develop the pass.
Develop the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And those just never came, right? He's a nice, flashy, agile dribbler, but that's where it kind of ends for him in Madrid. I don't think that's the case in every team. As I've said before, I think Arsenal make a good football in the environment for him. Madrid doesn't.
But again...
And one thing, though, even to him, if I could say to him, because we all have seen the interviews where he's complained about his position, right? Where he goes like, oh, right, isn't my position. Where did Madrid instruct your team in Brazil to play? Oh, guess what? How do I know this? Because I actually used to watch them back then for MMV, right? So I kind of had a grasp of both of them. And Rodrigo played off the right before he came to Madrid. So this left wing, you're gonna get the best of me. Yeah, maybe you're a better left winger than you are as a right winger, but that doesn't inherently change your footballing skills. Why is it 19 years old, Desire Doué, just playing of the left, of the right, center forward, just
doesn't matter where he is.
19, right? And you are sitting there and complaining about your position. I just don't like things like that, first and foremost, and I don't think he has it in him. That's the reality.
Again, we talked about this, guys. Speed and dribbling are transferable skills. It doesn't matter what side of the field you're on. If you're fast, you're fast. If you can dribble, it doesn't matter where you are.
There are more comfortable angles, right?
Yep. Yeah,
I understand that. But the fact that you're telling me, so he's played right winger basically since he was 18.
Yeah.
18 to 23, you haven't been able to find your angles on a right? Because normally you need to find the angles. Let it be, okay, I can move the ball around, shuffle it, get on the inside, maybe develop my left foot a little bit so I can ping some goals in where the opponent doesn't. You get nada of that. So that's why I said even before the Club World Cup started that it was time to move on. Unfortunately, Laporta played a dirty game and he pretty much politically removed Nico Williams completely from the equation now with that contract. It's for people that fell for that, Barcelona were never going to be able to sign him. I'm telling you right now, 58 million straight up for a club that just announced their stadium release clause. Barcelona were never going to pay that. But what they did is they just politically played the game of, okay, we're trying to make transfers just in case they end up a little bit short. We tried. This guy betrayed us. Maybe they tried in terms of they sat down with Nico and he probably agreed to their terms, right? But then Laporta just went like, oh, guess what? We don't have the money. Even though all along he knew that. Those are the dirty games that some of the clubs play. Barcelona are experts at that. And Nico is now removed from equation if we were to speak about the perfect right winger. I always had him as a perfect right winger because he's that channel running. I don't know if Mbappe is going to be able to do that. I'm going to be honest. The channel that Gonzalez brought, I don't think Mbappe is going to be able to do
I just wanted to touch on that. I think one takeaway is Vinny's iffy as a creator. I think Mbappe is good an off-ball mover. I think we're fine with him. But yeah, it seems like the channel runs and the dribbling are not going to come from him. The creation doesn't come from him at all. It feels like it. Yeah, he doesn't like he does well with Gonzalo in central areas, but he doesn't peel wide at all. And It's really sad, honestly. I'm gonna be honest. My dream of Mbappe, like true, what I wanted to see is like kind of dead. I don't think we'll ever see it if this is the case. To be honest,
Look, it is. We talked about this on earlier episodes of this show, Sid, which was Bob is available, right? A player of that caliber, you go after him and you get him, right? But with the money spent, would it, right? What would it have been better to spend on other areas and other profiles of this club? And would this give Xabi more flexibility and tactical versatility when deciding what he wants to do? So now his challenge is we are where we are. Vinny and Mbappe likely aren't going anywhere. You have to find a way to make this work somehow. How? That's what he gets paid, whatever Xabi's salary is, which is pretty high, right? This is his job. Him and his staff. They have to figure out how to make this work.
and that's where this was just the first game. I want to be clear. I don't think it's not going to work.
This is one game, right? And it's against the current Champions League
team in the world. Pretty much the toughest team.
They are the best team in the world.
I'm just thinking of profile, all right? Profile-wise, is Mbappe going to sacrifice like Gonzalo does on running of the channel every time we get that breakthrough of the wing? Don't think so. I'm being honest. But to the question when you went like, would you go for profile or Mbappe? I would still go for Mbappe. Guy's a golden boot winner, you know? Like he's going to sort majority of the games out because he's that damn good. But you need to find stability with that, so that's up to the coach. But I would still go Mbappe. I don't see a problem why you wouldn't make this signing at any point. 10 out of 10 times. If I'm sitting on that room, I'm just making it because I don't care about the profile. I'm just getting way too many goals in return, too much end product in return of whatever I'm paying.
Here's the question. I'm with you. Here's the question I have for both of you. Does Xabi have enough juice with the board and with Florentino to, obviously you're going to play Vinny and Mbappe, but the days of them going full 90s together, I'm subbing out one. One's going to shift to the other one's position. Gonzalo's getting run here. We might bring in Franco, depending on what the game state calls for. Will he have enough juice to do that? Because that's what I think the ultimate thing is, that 90 minutes of both of them in certain matches are not going to be productive for us. And will he be able to take one out and sub out 45, 60 minutes in, whatever the case may be?
He does that, though.
That's the thing. It's just the Club World Cup, right? It's one thing to do that now, another to do it over the course of the full season.
Champions League, in when the season, well, he had the juice to do it then.
And what's interesting is, on a parallel note, and I have a bigger point here, is that if the team with Vinny and Mbappe is good in maybe in smaller games with them together, but in the big games, it's going to take a while maybe for it to work. But the big games are where there's more pressure on Xabi to kind of put this Super 11 out, I feel like, just as a brand, to have Vinny and Mbappe work in the biggest Champions
That's why I'm asking about the juice. Can he be like, well, man, we're trying to win, my guy?
Well, that's where it's interesting, because also I just want to say, when Zidane had to have the juice, so to speak, it was benching James or Isco for Casemiro. That is a big sub, but it is a little different to benching Vinny or Mbappe for a Gonzalo or maybe even a Franco. And I think that I will just say this. If there's a season you do have that juice with the board, it has to be the one when you have no preseason, when you actually have such a load on everyone where you can. So I hope so, but I do think that's the $1 million question as to how the season goes, because I think this is made so much easier. I think it can even work in big games, by the way. I just think it's made so much easier if Xabi can pick and choose and play one of them at a time, a lot to start. And then as we build up the big games, eventually figure out some combos. And I think this is as hard as it's going to get against PSG. Like, if we play them again next year in April, May, I think we look way better for what it's worth. But Loconte, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, but while I think Xabi has the power to bench them, I believe that if needed, I don't see the reason why. Because again, I fall back into, if you're having to play your Gala 11, right, which would have been today's lineup with Trent and Hoyson, right? We touched upon that. Are they going to be a problem? Are they going to be a minus or a plus? Because often when I see how this team plays, right, it's often clogged center with the ball over the top, always to a runner, right? So normally, in every circumstance, these two guys should fit that mold. We have to see, of course, I'm just talking on based on their profiles. I don't think that even today, though, we saw Vini of the right attempting a dribble, Mbappe of the left attempting a dribble. There was no clogging of the space. It was still working in terms of communication, where one guy is going to be, where the other is going to be, as they're switching off the ball or against the ball. We have to see how Alonso plans it. I don't think Alonso is that do or die by the press. He doesn't mind, as he said, settling back. And I think that that's how majority of his big games are going to look like anyways, because he wants to create those artificial transitions. So in normal circumstances, I don't know why Alonso would be put in that position. But
well, as long as he just needs to coach a better defense. As long as like if you want to create artificial transitions, in my opinion, with the level of talent you have, you still have to do it with a 4-4-2, 4-5-1. You can't do it in a 4-3-3 block with three guys up. Like it's never gonna work.
Yeah. You can spread it.
I thought that was and that was a naive coach mistake from him today. And I mean, it doesn't matter whether you attribute it to him or to the players. That's just something that needs to improve from them collectively. Like they need there's clear film of Vinny failing to cut off certain passing lanes when he could have very easily. Kylian just not, and obviously the whole thing with Gonzalo being dragged to the right wing that needs to change. Yeah, we just need the days of the coach telling them, "Hey, you're tracking the fullback to return." I mean, I get why you don't want to track Nuno because Nuno can. But here's the thing, guys: Zidane beat Enrique's Barcelona by having Ronaldo and Bale track Alves or whoever it was Roberto back then. So he had them track the fullback. Sometimes you go up against the juggernaut Luis Enrique team, and you just got to do what you got to do. But it's just it's only certain games on the calendar that are going to stress our defense this much.
Right?
Yeah,
it's like 10 out of 70.
Also, to be fair, right? PSG is the best team in the world. This team this is what, year 3 of Enrique, year 2, whatever it is.
Year 3 coming up.
They are in sync like you would not believe. Well, we talked about it at the start, right? That front 3 is so interchangeable, right? That they can just, and it's not like, oh my God, what do we do? They just know when one floats out, the other one's already replacing and moving. It's brilliant and beautiful. Ultimately, that's what we want to be, right? Where it's so seamless. And so we, with a new lineup, by the way, as we mentioned, with people who've never started before together under this new system, good luck, go up against the best team in the world. And you compound that with just poor skill play, right? In terms of clearances, right? Which that just set the, as we mentioned Loconte last episode, football is such a low margin sport in terms of goal scoring, right? One goal often makes a difference in many football matches. Yeah. You go down 2-0 by minute 10, you're already cooked at this point, right? Game plan out the window. Like, okay, now what do we got to do? We have to shift everything now with a new team.
That's true, right? Because they kind of lost their hat, if we want to be honest. Because like back-to-back mistakes, it's not just one and they're reshuffling. It's back-to-back, right? It's minute 8 when first mistake happens. On the 10th minute, a mistake gets repeated by the other center back. Mm-hmm. It's like there is a little bit of lack of mental composure, I would say, that's lacking on this team right now. Even Tchouaméni, right? When he got the yellow card, he had no need to get it.
I think he was so pissed. He was like, "Fuck it, hey, we're getting our ass kicked." And he was just pissed, and he's like, "I'm gonna go tackle somebody."
Yeah, he was just like pure frustration. He wanted like, "This is my opportunity to get this guy down. I'm gonna take him down."
No, that's what happens when you're down and the game's not going. We've seen it happen for us in like Clásicos, like when Isco got red carded under Lopetegui. Like when you're down, you just you lose your head and you just kick people.
It's normal, it's emotional, but it feels that even against Dortmund, right? Most comfortable KO games that I've seen Madrid in a very long time. Generally, they almost blew it in the end because it's just that you don't want to
human nature. You let the foot off the gas. Tchouaméni's out of the game. You're like, all right, like it's cool. You just
chill out, and it's like, oh, the goalkeeper needs to pull off a save where it doesn't go to extra time with you on 10 men. So it's like, I don't know. There's a problem. It's an inherent problem, to be honest, because this isn't the first time that mistakes have we always go back to Varane against Manchester City, Isco against Barcelona, and we have had a lot of these cases, a lot of them over the years. Like even when we were dominant as a side, we still have had like it's kind of ingrained in us to be a little bit more
sloppy and careless,
emotional team.
Yeah,
like momentum rallies team where when the momentum is against us, we kind of tend to lose it.
Yeah,
and
totally.
that happens.
Someone put a quote. I'm not 1,000% sure it's real, but I don't see why Nymirium, frequenter of the channel, would lie. Luis Enrique on the gap between the two teams. Different situations. Xabi Alonso is new. We've been working on this for 2 years. It's normal. Well said, Luis. And he knows because we got the talent. And like I said, I expect him to figure it out with Vinny and Mbappe starting a good, sound defensive unit by April, May, maybe sooner, probably way sooner. And I think it'll look good. And it's just going to be a little bit of a process to make sure everyone's fit and on the same page. Biggest work is probably just making sure everyone's healthy after the Club World Cup, like just giving everyone the right amount of time off and rotation.
This is what's worrying me because so our first match for La Liga next season is August 19th. That is basically 4 weeks from today. No, 6 weeks, excuse me, from today. But we have to start preseason or training 2 weeks before the 19th. So really they have 3.5 weeks off. Like that is nowhere near enough time. So does he do a stagger where he's like, okay, Fede and like you guys, you don't come back till August 10th. You know, Arda and you other guys, you come back August 1. Like this is the downside. While the Club World Cup was great from when we got Xabi to work under a high pressure environment, see what his tactics look like. Okay, yeah, all good. Every other team that did not qualify have been off since May, whatever, right? Like, so they're going to have such a huge reserve to start the season. So don't be surprised, Real Madrid fans, if come out to start the blocks next year, Barca starts out super red hot because they got tons of gas and everybody and we're looking real sluggish till October. Like, just don't be surprised.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's been a load. I wonder which player is going to pay that 1 million to the other guys, Rudiger or Asensio.
Gotta be Rudiger. Asensio ain't got no money. That dude don't make no real money yet.
Asensio is like guy that they only
he makes more money than us, but he don't make money compared to other footballers.
I mean, Rudiger should be fine.
I think Trent should. I wonder if Trent should.
Yeah,
some Liverpool fans would probably be making fun of Trent, though.
You know, we did put emphasis to it.
They wanted to win. They wanted to win it. And so this is now the downside. Okay, you didn't win and you have a shortened off season. Good luck. All right. This is the other side of this.
Could have tanked it.
Could have been like Atleti, right? Just get knocked out in the group stage. They
just couldn't go through.
Last thing that on the big list is really just saying bye to Modric. It's really a sad way to say bye to him.
Such a bad way to for his career to end. So terrible, man.
At Madrid, yeah. And it's a shame, but I mean, honestly, we're going to really dedicate a whole episode or more to him and the future. So I just wanted to say, out of respect to him, we almost won't get into him too much. Just goodbye, Luka. Gonna miss you. It's a shame, and you got to process that separately from this game, almost out of respect.
Yeah. Of course, he gets his own separate look. One of the greatest players of all time, not of this generation, of all time. Period. End of statement. A magician with the ball at his feet, dragging that Croatian team to a World Cup final. The countless he won 6 Champions Leagues with us. Like he is Real Madrid through and through, man. Like this is. That 10 jersey, wow, what a legacy, right? Like, and everybody's like, Arda, the heir apparent. Like, listen, those are big boots for Arda to fill. Fucking huge, almost insurmountable boots to fill, right? If we're being honest, right? If we're really being honest. But yeah, shouts to Luka, man. One of the greats and a Real Madrid legend for sure.
He's given us so much that it feels unbelievable he's gone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It does. And
we're not gonna see him anymore. I mean, we are. He's not. Thank God, he's not dead. But we're not gonna see him in Madrid.
We're gonna see him when AC Milan plays fucking Real Madrid in the Champions League, in the group stage.
Oh, that's gonna be pain. Can he ask him to play?
I know. Don't play that game.
But
Or we should organize a Legends game like we did for Raul when him and Ronaldo switched kits and he played the whole for us. He just wore 7 and Ronaldo went to 11 on that 2023-24 season. We should kind of do something like that for Modric too. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But actually, I forgot that we have scraped that trophy. What it used to be called? Santiago Bernabeu trophy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, scrapped it. It's a preseason trophy. Ultimately,
Yeah.
we just picked a team to play against, and that's it.
Oh,
But
we won't be doing any preseason friendlies this year. I'll tell you that. Listen,
I think the announcement is official. There is no preseason games.
how can there be? What? There's no time to do what? Like,
damn, a season without a preseason is going to be interesting. Best of luck. It's a tough to
I mean,
navigate.
that's like Mbappe. His last preseason was in 2022.
Right, and we get no and unlike PSG, we don't get to leave our guys home and let them order Uber Eats and have it like in season baked in preseasons baked into the season. PSG can kind of like they can bake in a vacation, a preseason, like mid-season trip, whatever they need for all their guys. Like they probably got like it's like field trips all year for them, and when they're getting rotated every other week, they got something different to do.
listen,
They have some nice sliders too. You know,
that's
where
what
they
we need.
unlimited, and they
Yeah,
can
yeah.
just buy guys somehow,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they don't get fined at all. It's no problem. Who cares that they bought like 500 million worth of players in one summer? Nobody cares because the deals they fabricate too that are lies clearly with them in Man City to wash up.
Oh yeah, for sure. With
It's
like
just
with the spending, I'm like, how are you guys not in like illegal spending? Come on now, like that's I think you're spending way more.
You
Than
know,
you
funny
would think that
subplot.
their CEO is basically the CEO of UEFA at this point.
Right, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that, and what a funny subplot is. Yeah, UEFA hates this competition, and then, what's his name? Like a Qatari team winning, like they're rivals with Saudi. So the Qatari team winning a tournament mostly sponsored by Saudi Arabia is probably not going to be. They're not going to be too happy about it, and I know there's that little rivalry going there, and also just want to read out a couple more quotes. Thank you.
Chelsea this time.
Shouts to Miriam. Read that last one he put. It's not a quote,
there are
but
two
what he
more.
said about Xavi. That's interesting. And Mbappe.
So Xavi said, Xavi Alonso. I'll just read the first one about, he said from there, signings. We're always open to improving the squad. That's the idea, to improve the team. I know it's difficult to say this now, but we're a better team now than when we started this competition. This game and this tournament taught us a lot of things about ourselves. We know what we need to do now. So that, and lastly, Miriam says, apparently Xavi was shouting at Mbappe all game to track back and not sit there in one place. Well, I think it'll work. If that's the case, if it doesn't, that will just be disappointing. And it's, Mbappe has to deliver. All things considered, I hope to see better performances from him. I think ultimately starting him when he's had gastroenteritis or whatever in a game like this, you're never going to get like the type of pressing performance you need against like Luis Enrique's PSG. So whatever, you forget about this one, you throw it in the garbage, you pretend it didn't happen, you try again. We are a better team than when we started.
Yes, for sure.
And I know all the Premier League fans are maybe tuning in to hate watch, but we're going to cook you when we finish our signings. Don't worry, we're coming. Arsenal, Liverpool, City. Y'all are fodder. PSG's our rival now. Y'all are just, y'all are not even in the picture anymore. Just hope you know. But I'm just kidding. They are. Arsenal, Liverpool are. City, y'all got to earn your way back in the picture for sure, though. Enrique's ahead of Pep right now with this.
I guess.
Yeah, listen, it's
things. I'm not gonna lie. It's like all of these big teams, and now I have to look at PSG. Like
I know it is. PSG is what it. Listen,
feels a bit wrong. I'm not gonna lie. Feels a bit wrong.
Bayern are close. We're with Musiala healthy. Bayern are close.
First of all,
Bayern should have won the game.
Can we be honest? Bayern dominated that match.
Yes.
And like they showed this is how you shut down PSG.
Arsenal also have shown us how to play PSG. You need to physically go after.
Yeah, but
you need to win all
we
the
had
duels.
a lack of personnel. Again, goes back to
Camavinga.
defenders, right? Upamecano was shutting down those runs. I know, Sid, you don't like him, but he was genuinely doing it. You know, he was pushing forward, winning the ball back, pushing his team. I mean, we saw the Bozo moments of there too. I mean, Manuel Neuer, pro, what are you doing still playing? But it's just Bayern should have won that game if we're going on paper, right?
Mhm.
But football isn't always
Right.
on the
Correct.
paper. That's
Also,
why we said
Musiala's ankle turned in a way it never should. And,
He broke his fibula. Like, I mean, his
Yeah.
dude's he's going to be
That-
out for a little bit of
I
time.
feel like if that didn't happen, there might have been a chance. I feel like that killed their momentum for what it's worth. A little bit.
Probably.
You think? Because I thought it was gonna, but even on second half, Bayern were all over them. It was like, yeah, but decision making with Serge Gnabry playing on that central spot was just like sometimes he had the run of Kane and he was going to Coleman, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You had the run there, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe playing Bayern would have been easier, kind of if that happened. But yeah.
I think they needed I just think they needed the total minutes. Like they needed Gnabry on late. Like they needed their guys, whoever they brought on from Musiala, they needed everyone to come on later. They just needed that energy. And when slowly they did, maybe PSG capitalized around that moment. I guess Neuer also made the mistake. But yeah, I just mean I don't think PSG are invincible though. I don't agree with that. I think Bayern and Arsenal are the two teams that compete with them very well head to head. I should think the team we don't like, Barcelona, probably match up decently. I know Loconte, you probably don't agree, but I don't think they match up poorly. And I think, you'd think Slot figures something out after losing last year. You don't think Liverpool would lose the same way 2 years in a row to PSG?
You know what those teams all have in common? Bayern and Barca and Arsenal. They press
continuity
well.
and continuity,
and they press well, right? Continuity, they press well. Not allowing them to have all the space of Vitinha to basically do figure eights back there and spin around like nobody's touching them. Like, well, of course they're gonna fucking get out of easy on build up. Yeah,
I mean,
when you put pressure.
That Inter scored 8 post Barca, so yeah.
Right, so Barcelona are the biggest if there. We know Arsenal, Bayern can compete.
Arsenal and Bayern, yeah, but
both,
no.
I hope Slot evolves and does something if they play again. I hope to see.
Let's see what Pep does though.
Versus, I want to see that. That would be fun.
He's the odd man right now in football,
yes.
Pep, and what he's trying to do. Oh, by the way, for people trying to sell you, Pep is using fullbacks as fullbacks. Wow!
What an amazing.
What do you think is odd about what Pep is trying to do right now?
I don't think anything is odd. I just think that he still hasn't figured out exactly how they want to play, right?
Not close. Yeah, he's not close.
More like, do I want more dynamism with Cherki? Right. Do I want Marmoush and Holland out there? Do I want a bit more control with Rodri and Reinders?
Pep is a mad scientist. He's still in his lab tinkering. All right, what if we did this? He's still tinkering.
And Rodri also Rodri's knee.
I never count Pep out. I just never count him out. Since he gave up on that, I want to have 100% of the ball ideology, and he's actually been more adaptable as a coach. I just can never count Pep out.
But his league
wasn't one of the greatest before that, but that was a big weakness of him with Man City, right?
It's just funny. His league points finishes have gone down since he did that overall, a little bit. They haven't been as 3 points every week in the league. But you could also argue the Premier League is much harder. Maybe it's not the league it was when he first joined. You could say the first half of when he was there, and second half.
And that crew, this crew that's there now, they need recycling through, right? Which they've done, right? They were kind of running on fumes towards the end there. So
it is a new team, but with that being said, I don't think it's guaranteed they win the Premier League. I think Arsenal are dangerous once they
Arsenal's
finish.
Good. Liverpool could repeat. Look,
they got Rodrigo, by the way. Arsenal, remember, all you fans, if you rate Rodrigo, you're gonna rate Arsenal this season.
Wait, are all the Rodrigo fans gonna now leave Real Madrid and become Liverpool? I mean, Arsenal fans now? Is that what's gonna happen?
Rodrigo's fans?
Yes, he does.
Clearly, yes, he has stands. He doesn't have fans. He has stands.
But hey, Rodrigo, we love you. We do love you.
For me, Rodrigo fans seem to be more like Vini haters, and he's the guy they want to bring him in rather than I love Rodrigo type of thing.
That could be true too. So then the Vini haters will probably just be here all the time.
Yeah, haters will always. Right, haters will stay.
Yeah. He's gonna have always haters. He's just
so we're not gonna lose. So we're not going to lose all the comments about Rodrigo and EPs. It's just going to get louder. It's going to get louder. Hey, look what we sold the wrong one. They're going to start saying.
I just want to say apologies to the guys that told me I don't know anything about when I said that Rodrigo doesn't really fit how Alonso wants to play. And he called me the R word. I'm not going to go further than that. And I was
I think you.
I think
I think you've been born out to be correct. And that one, like I'd say, like it's pretty obvious because if he fits what Xabi wanted, he would be playing, and he's not. So I mean,
Yeah, maybe because Xabi's track record was all athletic attackers. Not that I did much there, right? But I was just looking at the attackers. Musa Diaby, Jeremy Frimpong, whatever. Boniface, Wirtz, for the most part. It was all players that
oh, I
had either
forgot Wirtz is
strengths
that could
or
be good.
very athletic.
Oh yeah.
So,
Lastly, I'm just gonna let's wrap it up here. But Nigerian has a funny comment. Just Siddharth talk about the Dembele Ballon d'Or being sealed and do a Golden Boy to remind Barcelona fans before
Love it.
Well, I think the Dembele Ballon d'Or, like I said, I think it's the first ever asterisk Uber Eats Ballon d'Or, whatever you want to call it. But like, I mean, hey, no, he's very good in the minutes he played. He works very hard, phenomenal.
He had a great season.
Listen, I'm just saying, like, look at his 90s. I don't know how, like, maybe I got to go do the math. The Club World Cup added a few 90s, but, like, you didn't play that much more than Vini. Like, why can't you give it to Vitinha, you know? Like, why isn't Vitinha winning the Ballon d'Or? If for the same reasons. Right, like, right, the Nations League, the one that were decided on the pitch, as Yamal said. Right.
And we're making the rules up, but actually, if you gave it to Rodri, at this point, you can give it to anybody.
Vitinha or Mendes, yeah. Vitinha or Nuno Mendes.
Nuno should win it.
I would say Nuno Mendes
Ruiz?
would be a good pick. Huh? Wait, who?
Fabian Ruiz?
Well, no, you didn't know because he was on Spain. You have to give it to Vitinha. It has to be Vitinha or who's the third? They have one more on Portugal, right? Is it Joao?
Neves?
Joao Neves.
Yeah. So one of those three, and out of those, I think the highest minutes would probably be Vitinha or Mendes. So those, but Doué for Golden Boy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, phenomenal. He's got to get it.
He's
won
so
title. He won titles. You know, a lot of people are pointing to Yamal saying he had one of the best seasons ever or something. Win rings. Then
90 goals. 90 goals. 9. Like, look, I'm gonna be honest, right? Yamal, extremely talented. You can't take 146 shots and have just 9 of them end up in goal. I'm sorry, bro, but that's not my Ballon d'Or. Even if Dembele wasn't on a picture, 146 shots, 9 of them go in goal? No. He's an attacker, right? If he was like a midfielder or something like that, and he's giving me production all over, fair enough, with 9 goals. Here, maybe even overproducing, as you did. But if you're an attacker who's high usage like Yamal, 9 goals is just not going to cut it for a Ballon d'Or. I don't think it should even cut it for, at this rate, for even the young, like Golden Boy award, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're calling it.
No, Doué should win that one. Doué should win it. Doué should win the Golden Boy, not Yamal.
Yeah. I mean, Champions League winner, literally assist
and club
right?
Treble winner.
7-tuple, technically. I mean, I don't know which season the Club World Cup counts under, but
counts under this current one, so it will be the set double. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the first ever. Yeah, Vitinha for Ballon d'Or or Nuno Mendes for Ballon d'Or. That's the campaign. I mean, they're those two are 1 and 2, and then Joao Neves is number 3. So yeah.
Listen,
Dembele's 4th.
Madrid fans, take heart, man. It's okay. It was not the outcome we wanted, and it not in the way it looked, right? Not in the process. It didn't look the way we liked it to look, but it's what it is. As Xabi said, the team is better when it started this tournament. Brighter days ahead. Signings are coming. There's going to be some more development with the guys we already have on the squad. Are going to get better and more comfortable in the system, right? Go, as the kids say, go outside, touch grass, log off football Twitter for a while, and just enjoy yourselves before you make yourselves crazy over something that really has
I saw Superman, guys, and honestly, I was skeptical and it was good. So honestly, just want to just put it out there. It was good. Like I was really scared. I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy. I wasn't a big James Gunn fan or anything. And I was like, damn, like you made this, like the whole thing top to bottom. And I was like, why is the marketing so bad if this movie's good? So just want to, for all the people who worked hard for that movie, got to be real. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I'm going to F1 tonight. So go enjoy yourselves, folks. Do something else, like Jarod said.
Yeah, man.
And guys, always think brighter. Ancelotti could have been your coach in this tournament.
True.
Yeah. I mean, to be totally fair to Ancelotti, this was a very bad performance, like reminiscent of some we've seen last season from the team. But it is what it is. Just want to say, but yeah, now Miriam asked better than Henry Cable Superman. I just want to say it's different, but that's all. Thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Anything you guys want to shout out before we end?
Like the video, subscribe, comment. If
Guys,
you want the audio version, Apple and Spotify, like, comment, rate, subscribe over there too.
We might write some jokes for the next episode.